Good timing. Thank you. And now I would like to invite Madame Lee to take the floor for 5 minutes, please. Madame Lee, you could start.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, yes.
Good afternoon, Chair Okoye, Vice Chair Lake, Vice Chair Bruno Joseph, and distinguished member of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. My name is Frances Hui, and I am from the Committee for Freedom in Hong Kong Foundation, which campaigns for the freedom of political prisoners in Hong Kong. I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and I have been advocating for its democratic development since I was 14 years old. In 2020, after China imposed its national security law in Hong Kong, I sought asylum in the United States due to the risk of arrest for my international advocacy. Now based in Washington, D.C., I continue to speak out on the Chinese government's abuse in Hong Kong and beyond. Last year, the Hong Kong authorities issued an arrest warrant and placed a $1 million Hong Kong bounty on my head under the national security law. This illustrates how the Chinese Communist Party deploys transnational repression to silent dissent, targeting not only activists like me, but also Uyghurs, Tibetans, Taiwanese, and Chinese dissidents globally. The Freedom House identifies the CCP's campaign of transnational repression as the world's most comprehensive. Its methods include spyware, intimidation, disinformation, surveillance, and threats against dissidents' family members back home, all designed to suppress dissent far beyond its borders. A key player in this strategy is the CCP's United Front Work Department, which controls and mobilizes organizations and individuals on the party's behalf. The Hong Kong Economic and Trade Offices, the HKETOs, located in Toronto and around the world, are operating with quasi-diplomatic status to promote Beijing's narrative, influence foreign policies, and monitor dissidents abroad. In 2019 and 2020, a U.S. citizen in Boston was tasked by Beijing to spy on my activities. He had attended my events, taken photos and videos, and shared them directly with PRC officials. But this man was not just spying on me. Between 2018 and 2022, he provided intelligence about members and leaders of Chinese family associations and community organizations and anti-CCP dissidents to the PRC officials, including those at the United Front. In one instance, he mobilized hundreds of pro-Beijing individuals to counter-protest our march in August 2019. Some of the people vandalized our belongings and physically intimidated us. These people had openly discussed bringing weapons to attack the participants and even firearms to quote-unquote shoot her in the face. After the rally, I was followed home and I had to call the police twice for assistance. The repression didn't stop here. After Hong Kong issued a bounty for my arrest last year, the harassment intensified. A week later, my parents in Hong Kong was brought in for police questioning. I regularly received phone calls from Chinese-speaking men who know my name. These tactics aim to isolate and intimidate with profound psychological, social, and political impacts. I think today's hearing is so critical because Canada, with its large diaspora communities, is particularly vulnerable to transnational repression and foreign interference. It is crucial to take timely and decisive action to address this issue and protect both your citizens and national security. I urge Canada to make full use of its sanctioned authorities to hold bad actors accountable. It should also consider revoking the HKETO's diplomatic immunities and privileges, as it has now become an outpost for the Chinese government to surveil and propagandize its own agenda on Canadian soil. And I will lay other policy recommendations later on in the question section. As I testify today, 45 pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong, some of them close friends of mine, have recently been sentenced to 4 to 10 years in prison for organizing a democratic primary election. This is the grim reality of life under authoritarian rule, but the repression goes beyond, as you have heard. My story is just one example of how Beijing's transnational authoritarianism, driven by tools like the United Front and the HKETOs, threatens freedom and democracy worldwide. Lastly, I would like to applaud this Parliament for passing the Countering Foreign Interference Act in June this year. I think it was a great step forward, and I hope the government will continue to take meaningful and leading steps to protect individuals and your sovereignty from transnational repression. I appreciate the committee's efforts in addressing this issue, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Excellent timing.